Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Today, we thought we'd talk about something a little bit different. We're going to dive into creativity. Now, this is something you might not think about in line with the COVID conversation topics we've been talking about, but creativity can play a big role in helping people to feel less stress and less anxiety. And those are two things we feel a lot of right now.
So first, let me just apologize if you hear drilling in my house in the background. It's just real life. So creativity, this struck me a lot because so many of my awesome clients are artists and writers and painters and carpenters and just all these really amazing outlets. And I think when there's lack of boundaries with home and work and everything, it seems the same, that sometimes people tend to create less. And so there's sort of a slump of creativity for some people. And I've seen that as really weighing on people that need an outlet. And so one of my clients once said, I realized that if I'm an artist who isn't creating art, just is like kind of almost suffering. And I thought that was a really good perspective on there. I know for me that at least initially, I was definitely not able to sort of tap into any creative energy. I was just really pretty drained.
Yeah.
And that is really challenging. Missed
It
it.
is. Yeah. And I think that the thing about creativity is that if you're doing work things, childcare things, caring for parent things all day, the last thing you want to do is maybe draw or paint or whatever it is that you find creativity, the way that you express yourself. But what we know is that when we do those things, we feel better and we actually get more energy. So I would encourage people to think about creativity in an outside the box way. Like Robin and I are both busy with our practices and growing our business and taking care of child and family members and all that. And so for us, we found creativity through designing some of our products and courses where it's still intellectual, but we get to use color and new platforms and design. And it really creates an emotion. It creates a feeling based on what we do. And I think even if you aren't a painter or have a super creative hobby, you can think of ways to be creative in what you normally do. So do you normally cook dinner? How can you make it a little more creative? Maybe you make it into a fun shape or add in some cool ingredients. Or if you're normally very much computer oriented, how do you get away from that and maybe color? My son had to make a junk mail birdhouse a couple of days ago. And at first I was like, how am I going to fit this in between everything? But it was so much fun doing it. And it was like cutting up junk mail to make a birdhouse. So it doesn't have to be fancy.
We've been doing a lot of chalk art at my house on the sidewalks. And that actually was very shockingly soothing from a creative perspective. But then also, even just this, like what we're doing, figuring out YouTube and figuring out how to record conversations, that's been a creative outlet for us, I think, we're sort of very verbal people. And then there was one other thing I forgot. I'm distracted by the drilling in my house right now. I'm sorry.
I think with so much of this stress, we're locked into our left brain, like very logical, concrete thinking. And so switching over to the right brain might not come as naturally. And the right brain is more of like the creative, abstract kind of ideas. So that can be a harder thing to do. One cool technique I learned was something that utilized the ultradian rhythm. Have you ever heard of that, Robin?
Oh, no.
So it's this idea that we can use our breath to kind of stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system and different hemispheres of the brain. So if you breathe through just your left nostril, so like if you close off your right nostril, the left nostril goes to the right hemisphere, activates the right hemisphere more and helps you to like relax and calm. Or if you close off the left nostril and breathe through the right nostril, that goes to your left hemisphere. So if we want to take time to get more creative, a couple of breaths through your left nostril with your right one closed off can help stimulate the right hemisphere and get some ideas flowing.
I feel like they do that in yoga class sometimes.
They do alternate nostril breathing.
Yeah. And actually, which actually connects to what I lost a few moments ago. in terms of creativity, completely unrelated to any actual like art or production of things, I have been struggling, and maybe we can talk about this in our next conversation. Over the course of time, I belong to a gym that I love, and I've gone all the time for years. And of course, the gyms are all closed, and they've been closed for weeks. And so I have, workout equipment in my house, but I was just sort of finding that I was getting stagnant in doing the things I was doing. And this morning, out of the blue, I discovered that I could do yoga on my front porch. And it was seriously like one of the most lovely yoga classes I've done in years, actually, on my little
Mm.
app on my phone. And I was just out there early this morning, and it was raining, but I was protected, and it was cool, and it was so lovely. And I
Yeah.
was so grateful for my brain that just sort of spontaneously said, that you could do this. And I just tried it. And so I will totally be doing that more often. But that felt like a moment of tapping into something, just thinking about something in a new way, right?
Yeah.
Breaking out of the mold. I've lived in this house for, I don't know, 7 years or something, and I've never done that before. So just being able to switch gears and think about it in a new way felt kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's a great example. So thinking about taking something that you do on a regular basis, how can you think about that in an outside the box way? Maybe even doing it in a different location, at a different time of day,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. So
Yeah.
cool. All right, everyone. Well, apologies for the drilling if you heard it, and take care. We'll see you next time.